Welcome everyone to the special call meeting of the Camden County Board of Education for September 17th, 2020. Ask if there is any consideration of open session agenda changes. Consideration to accept the agenda. Motion by Ms. Eilert that we accept the agenda, seconded by Mr. Purcell. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Information update, the bond referendum for the new high school. Ms. Byers, Vice President of MBCon, and Ms. Dennis, Vice President of Mosley Architects.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for having us tonight. I am Haley Bowers with MBCon Construction. Rick sends his regrets. The remnants of Sally are not conducive to flying. So we are fortunate, however, to have Ashley Dennis here with us as well. Ashley is a principal with Mosley Architects and has been working on your project. So thank you for having us. We have some exciting things to show tonight I'm really excited about. I think you'll enjoy seeing, and we're going to get started. Just a brief recap of how we got here tonight. As you know, the county commissioners had the foresight to purchase land for a new high school in 2008. And so this project has been talked about for many, many years. And since that time, this school has continued to age. You have continued to have growth in your school district. Education has also continued to change. And so those are just things to think about, is how long this project has been talked about. And so we're really fortunate to get to this point tonight. I was part of your facility study that was done last year. And one of the most interesting things that resulted from that study was the fact that this school is too small for the number of students that we have here. Now, if you ask some teachers who teach here, anecdotally, they could have probably told us that, right? But this information came as a fact from the North Carolina Department of Instruction. So that's a third party, saying, hey, 40,000 square feet, under space. And what does that mean? It's not just about crowding. It's also the space to do the programs that you guys want to do, to have the equipment for the career tech programs that you want to have. Some of that equipment is large. And actually, if we were even get it in here, if we were to plug it in to some of these older electrical systems, they might short the circuit for the whole block. So it's not just about space, although that is an issue. It's also about modern equipment, modern technology, the programs you want to have, and also safety and security. The study also found that you guys also have growth in this county, which is, again, probably not a surprise to you, but we did look at data to prove that. And we also see that the growth will continue. So again, as we continue on this project, more people are moving here. This school is getting more and more students. Again, the county commissioners, fortunately, did apply for the grant specifically for a new high school. And were successful in that $12.3 million. And again, they approved this to go on the ballot for November of this year. We have historic low interest rates, which is an excellent boost to this project. It will help the citizens. It will help us put more into this project. I like to relate it as almost like getting a coupon in the mail for 1% off, because the less you pay in interest, the more you can build, the cheaper it is to build. And I also like to say and point out that we're not just investing in a building. Your community is not just buying a building. You're investing in the students. You're putting programs, and I like to think about what will go on in this building, the types of career opportunities, and the investment in the students. And so I always like to bring it back to that factor, although we love to see the renderings and talk about building and construction and numbers. Let's not forget that the students and the whole community will positively impact from this project. So the $12.3 million state grant that you guys were successful in obtaining can only be used for a new high school, no renovations. I think the state kind of sees their investment as wisely used in a brand new building, and they don't do that just for y'all. That's for anybody who applied for that grant. Because if you try to renovate, it becomes like a Band-Aid. You're just putting a Band-Aid on, or almost like a whack-a-mole. You do something here, and then a year later, you're going back to them for more money. So that's why it's more feasible to build new as opposed to renovate or opposed to adding on. This project will also benefit all schools in Camden County because of the spacing issues that you have in all of your schools. And if you'll remember all those options we went through, I think we gave like 7 when we did the joint meeting. This is the one that everybody thought was the most cost effective and the most beneficial to every school in your district. And also to point out the emergency shelter that I think you guys don't have one in the county right now. This school, and Ashley's going to cover this piece, will provide the opportunity to have that. The affordability, we're never going to get a cheaper high school than borrowing $33 million in Camden County. It's really time to do that. A lot of people ask right now, why right now? I know pandemic is on people's minds right now. However, please note that the tax impact would not be until 2022. So you're not raising taxes right now. You're talking about several years down the road when that would actually happen. And the impact is about 12 cents per $100 of assessed property value. And that's a high estimation. We think it could be lower because the county has really added in an operations cost to that amount. So the actual building would only be about 10 cents. They're saying that, maybe some more money to add in for operating, right? Because you're going to have another building that you would be paying for, HVAC and things like that for. It could be less. I don't know. But we're going with the high end. Could be less. So for the average home in Camden County, about $4.50, 60 cents a week. That's what, like a kid's meal, ham cheeseburger meal a week. The cost of that could be, again, it could be less. We could get a lower interest rate. So that's something also to think about. Ashley Dennis is here, the architect, which is, I love what she has done with this. And it's a very efficient design. It looks good. It's going to allow for those types of equipment that I was talking about and space to do your programs, but it's not a Taj Mahal. It's very cost effective, yet it still looks really good. And so I'm just really excited for Ashley to show you guys what she's got.
Great. Thanks, Haley. Thank you, board, for having me here, and Dr. Farrell for letting us present on where we are with our design schematic. So what you see here is the first is the site plan. And so I just want to talk you through this very briefly. The main road out to the left of the screen would be where the school faced. And then we would have the option to have a possible future road come in to connect into the sports fields that you can see there to the rear of the school. The nice thing about this is all of the sports fields have been able to be clustered together. This allows for efficiency of our outbuildings along with the athletic fields so that we're not having to build a ton of buildings out there and spend money out there. That allows us to have one centralized restroom and ticketing point located within the sports field that are all within a fenced area. The other thing that we were doing with this was really doing an exercise of making sure everything fit on the site. We wanted to make sure that you were able to get all of the fields and the building itself along with the known wetlands and other things that we found during some of our early due diligence on the site. The student drop-off and staff parking is shown on the front of the school to the left. To the north of the school, there's also a secondary parking area that we'll discuss a little bit further as we move through the slides. In the back is the larger parking lot, and that serves two purposes. That's the student lots as well as the event parking for athletic events, and also can serve for additional parking for gymnasium events and any other community events that occur within the school. And then we also have a bus parking, and really the exercise here is to make sure that we can have enough separation between all of our different bus, parent, and student drivers. You see the little blue box there. As we start going through the renderings, you'll notice that that's the auditorium. That's an alternate piece in the programming. We wanted to make sure that was kind of called out on this plan. And then we have shown for future expansion. One thing that Haley did mention was the fact that your county is growing. So obviously it's not going to stop growing the day this high school opens. So we want to make sure that we have prepared in the design space for another academic pod, because the way the school is designed is that we're designing for 600 students in the classroom spaces, but all of your core spaces are for 800. So when the time comes, we can build additional classrooms and all of your core spaces can support that additional student load. In the floor plan, again, this is laying out with the program that's been established, but the key here is really that we're trying to keep all of the public spaces together. So all of the larger spaces are to the north. There's a corridor that runs kind of from the front to the back of the school, from the main entrance to that student lot. And then all of the academic and classroom spaces are really to the south there. And you can see that there are three easily identified, easily identified academic pods. There's the academic 1 and 2, which are the ones that are closest to that main corridor. And then there's the early college academic pod. And we really wanted to give that its own identity and its own main entrance, yet have it still be able to access all of the main pieces within the program there. This really just shows the floor plan again, but again, just wanting to reiterate, in our planning, we wanted to make sure that this emergency shelter that could be utilized by the community was laid out in a way that clearly was designated so that the academic spaces could not be accessed if this functioned as an emergency shelter, but also was in the larger area and could be built in the way that a shelter needed to be built. So you can see there that the gyms are clustered together. One thing that we're looking at is putting the large gym and the auxiliary gym kind of sandwiching in the locker rooms, so then those locker rooms can serve as part of the function for the emergency shelter if people are housed here for any extended amount of time. And then just going through the building massing, this is a X-ray view through the building to just kind of start showing where those program pieces are that you saw in the floor plan along with the massing. You can start seeing the entry pieces, the larger pieces to the upper portion, and then those academic pods clustered there towards the lower portion of the slide. This is the front of the school. So again, the two main entries, the main entrance for the high school along with the early college, having those easily identifiable and giving a presence along the road. And then all of the gymnasiums, we are showing the auditorium in these renderings just for massing purposes. But again, that's an alternate and can be built later or at bid time, just depending on how the numbers come in. And then you can see kind of a language of those academic pods with the little pop-ups that go over the extended instructional area. Those are going to be a important piece in these academic spaces. And so emphasizing those and giving kind of a higher presence to those so that those project-based learning items can happen within those spaces as teachers are teaching in them. This is the rear of the school. So from the student lot, looking back, this is another entrance, obviously the student entrance off of that lot, as well as a secondary entrance for athletic events. Here, this is another entrance that goes directly into the common space. So another entrance that would be used a lot by the community. That's the reason we were starting to look at that secondary lot that you can kind of see there in the foreground, just providing more parking associated with that community entrance. And this, again, could be a space that could be rented by the community and then along with the uses within that emergency shelter. So has a lot of multiple functions that could be used, whether it be after hours or during that time period. This is the main entry, the early college entry. And then these are those spaces. So these extended instructional areas are something that, you know, we're not going into the weeds of the design, but we want to start emphasizing some of our ideas with this and get people excited about the fact that these are more than just a space outside of the classrooms to collaborate and do projects in, but they would also have the opportunity to have roll-up doors that could extend out into the outside, a patio area. And so just a lot of things that can happen with that in the layout. So any questions about that? I'm gonna let Haley jump back up and talk ballot stuff.
I'll finish up in just a second. I just wanted to show the ballot question for anyone else here. Again, the $33 million, having that state grant. And again, I don't think those grants are going to be available any more years. We just don't know each year with the legislature. You just don't know. It is not sounding positive. So to have this now at this time, this year, this is the year, y'all, to make this happen. So that is very important. Very important to make the high school happen, that state grant money. Well, people always ask, well, what if it doesn't pass? What are we going to do? It won't be feasible, to build a high school if it doesn't pass this year. You would lose the grant money because you can't use the grant money for other things. The cost would just get higher to build every year. It would go up with inflation. Interest rates are just going to go up every year. This school would continue to get older. It would continue to get more crowded. You would probably need to purchase more portable classrooms, at least for the early college and maybe other schools as well, which is not a good use of your funds to have to purchase more portables. Those are just, again, a Band-Aid situation. And again, you would not have that county emergency shelter, which I think is a really neat thing that Ashley has incorporated into this design. I think Dr. Farrell has notified school district employees about the bond referendum and the facts. A lot of people talk about the law about you can't spend district money to advocate, to tell people to vote yes. And that is true. But you can talk about the bond referendum. You can talk about the facts. You can talk about the reasons why you think it is important and why the need is there. And you can talk about the reasons why it's needed. And so a lot of people get those two confused as if you can't say anything. Absolutely. And I hope Dr. Farrell will be meeting with people and taking this presentation. We can give it to you to put the facts out there. You have to let people decide yes or no. You can't instruct them a specific vote. You can't demand a vote. But absolutely, you can show them all of these things and the good deal that it is for the taxpayers. And so I hope that will be done. What's next? Again, I hope that this information will, I assume, be posted on the school district website and be getting that information out. Yes. Okay. And meetings. I mean, I hope you guys will meet with church groups or any groups that will allow you to talk about it and answer their questions, because that is totally acceptable and a practice that other districts do as well. And again, the vote is Election Day, November 3rd. So I guess Ashley and I will take any questions or comments.
The $12.3 million grant that we have, if we actually don't have it committed by April of 2021, we lose it.
I believe so. You don't have to spend it by then. But at this point, you've made the application. You can't use it on other things at this point than
Right.
Whatever you put in your application. That's correct.
But if something happens, we just can't continue to hold on to that money.
Correct. There's other districts that would love to take that.
Yes.
Haley, I know that you and Ashley both have travel and other obligations tonight. If you would send me the final that you presented tonight, just to make sure that I have the exact right one. I know we've done a little tweaking here and there. The first communication will go out to staff tomorrow morning for this. And then I'd like for the most up-to-date one to be on our website as well.
As far as operational cost, I mean, I think there's trying to be some messaging out there about the extra 2 cents of operational cost. But if we don't go through with this project, like you said, we're still going to have the mobile trailers. You're still going to have the increased student population who are going to bring on additional services and needs. So, I mean, a lot of that operational cost is going to be baked in the cake no matter which way we go. Is that,
That's an
Does that seem
excellent
fair?
point. That's an excellent point, and the 2 cents is again what they're, worst case guessing. So it could be less than that.
And the numbers you laid out with the 10 and 12 cent increase was based on a 3% interest rate, correct? Is that that's what he's been using steady?
Correct, a 3% interest
And
rate.
that's, again.
Some districts have gotten less than 3%. And so again, that would decrease that 12 cents is maximum.
I think it's a good looking school. I think did an excellent job of designing it so it's not. I think the taxpayers will be able to see that, we asked for something that was functional and looked good, but not over the top. As you said, it's not a Taj Mahal. It's a clean and simple look, but I think it's something that we're going to be able to be proud of when it's finished and sitting out there on 343 ready to go.
Yeah, you did a great job.
I really like the design element too, as far as, how you've got it so it could be corridored off for the gymnasium or the auditorium if we choose to do that. So the community also has that separate use and we don't have to allow access to the full facility. That's really a great idea.
The pod design, that was a big thing going forward, was to make sure it's going to be expandable as we continue to grow, and really taken, I think, everything that we asked for and done an excellent job of putting it all together. I think it looks great, and I think everything we were looking for is in there. So thank you.
Ashley, for the purpose of any of our teachers who might be watching tonight, I know that you all have met with them, or Rick and some team members have met with them in the past. Will there be another opportunity for them to have some input on the final design?
Yes, so this is just, all of this can change after we start having further meetings. A lot of this is just the information we've gathered to this point, obviously trying to make sure what we're showing is respecting of that. But there'll be plenty more meetings, departmental meetings, individual meetings. We'll obviously want to get as many meetings and as many opinions and ideas gathered so that we're making sure that this not only serves the administration and the teachers and the students, the community, but does that for many years. So making sure that we're hearing a lot of voices so that it can do that. So don't think that anything is set in stone, but this is a good idea of what it can be.
That's important to them.
Yeah.
And to be able to have some input into that. And I know that it's just something I wanted to make sure we were being clear about.
They are in the classrooms more than I am.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that it works for them.
Absolutely. Okay.
Haley, do you have a more definite timeline on some information sessions forthcoming so the public has more opportunity to maybe come in and see and ask questions before the November 3rd vote?
Yeah, we're glad to do these types of presentations to any group. Your superintendent can certainly do that too. That's, again, completely appropriate, completely legal for him to be able to go out and talk about this. But we are available for any of those meetings. I don't know of any that have been set up yet, but I think after tonight, you're gonna have a lot of people who want to hear from your superintendent about this project.
And one of the things that I had said to Rick is that I will do as many of these meetings as we have to. I know we still have some guidelines because of COVID as far as the numbers of people. I'll go every night if we need to make sure that people have the information so that they can make an informed decision. So I'll get with you all on that, but our plan is after tonight and the board sees it to start planning those out and having those as frequently as we need to make sure people are informed.
What about the rollout of any kind of campaign type, like bumper stickers and slogans or whatever we need to use to market the yes vote?
Right, so the school district will not be able to do those types of things.
Right.
However, there could be a citizens committee of citizens. They can do that. And again, you could do that on your own time. I mean, your superintendent, when he's off the clock, he can absolutely be helping with those kinds of things, or doing your teachers, in on their personal property, at their house, they can have vote yes signs and things like that. There is a citizens committee group that has asked us to provide some information. So I have provided them with some information, and they will be doing that. They're all private citizens who are not employees or anything like that. So, so yeah, they'll be putting those types of things together.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank y'all.
Ladies,
Thank
thank you
y'all.
very
You guys
much.
be safe.
Please travel safe. So that concludes our agenda for our special call meeting. We do have a closed session that was advertised for the purposes of personnel, which we will entertain a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of discuss personnel. Motion by Mr. Purcell, seconded by Ms. Idlet. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're in closed session. Thanks everyone for coming tonight and for viewing, in case you don't want to hang around.
Thanks, Sally.